Okay, hi. I have never made a video before, so I don't know what this is going to look like or be like. But my mind is blown. I made the craziest discovery about myself last night, and I imagine there are other people out there like this. First, I am coming to you from Longmont, Colorado. This is McIntosh Lake right behind me, and that is the part of the front range of the Rockies, and it is, as you can see, just a perfect day here. Okay, so last night I discovered on YouTube something called aphantasia, which means, I didn't know that you all see images very clearly in your mind. I don't have that. Um, I don't have that. I don't have images, like clear images in my head. It's, when I say I see something clearly in my mind, it's more like, and I thought everybody else was like this too. It's more like, um, this abstract, imaginative scaffolding that kind of forms the idea of an image, but not a clear image at all. And when I realized that everyone else has that and I do not, apparently 2% of us don't, I was blown away. I didn't know that you all have this. This is so weird. Okay, so, I made all these connections. First, I have to tell you this. I do see some images, but for me, it's only like psycho-spiritual experiences, for example, dreams, or EMDR, if you've ever had that kind of therapeutic, that kind of psychotherapy used, EMDR. That's a whole other thing, but it simulates REM sleep so that you actually process, and while you're going through this, so that you actually process things like trauma or things that you've just left unprocessed in your life. So, yeah, uh, it makes sense actually that I would see images in dreams, but also in EMDR because it's simulating something so similar. So then I started thinking, like, immediately, all these puzzle pieces kind of fell into place for me. So, first and foremost, I have a very weak imagination. I just can't, I don't visualize. Like, I struggle to understand how to come up with something novel. For example, I don't have I have no concept of how musicians, composers can come up with an entirely new sound or string of sounds together that no one's ever heard before. Where does that come from? And I think that comes from like solid imagination that I am lacking. I also have no concept of how does a fiction writer come up with a story that no one's ever heard before, or even just fiction. I don't, I love it. I can't, it's like my brain, I don't know, everything just sort of, there's a block somewhere. So like if you want me to imagine something, it's very abstract. It's not images. If I try to have an image of something, it's like, like it doesn't work. And I've kind of jokingly said, well, no, that's something different. I actually have been wondering about this very thing. I wonder if it affects my spatial awareness. So I often joke that I have like some sort of a spatial retardation, and I don't mean like landscape spatial, but in my immediate surroundings. When I was working in an office, it was very normal for me to have just little bruises or big bruises from about, you know, mid upper leg to mid torso, because I was constantly running into desks. Even at home, I'll run into a wall. I run into door frames and doors. I trip over stuff all the time. I have just very little immediate spatial awareness. And I'm thinking that this is probably part of the, there's a contributing factor, because I know that imagination, if lack of having visual imagery, there's something in there from a neuroscience perspective that would have to affect spatial awareness. So, okay, so when I say I have no imagination, also, so along the same line, my brother and I, we get along really, really well, but every once in a while, he'll get frustrated with me, and he'll just say, "You take things so literally." Yeah, well, like, did you just mid-sentence switch to code and I was supposed to pick up on that? How? Yeah, I take it literally. How else could you mean it? Like, along that same vein would be that I hate poetry because I can't understand it. Unless you are a Jewish children's poet by the name of Silverstein or Seuss, I have no idea what you're talking about. No clue. Can't you just say what you mean? That's how I feel about poetry. So I can't grasp it. But now I'm finally understanding why. I have no concept of it. So I listen to songs. I don't have any. The words are meaningless to me. Unless they're blatantly obvious, like, I went to the store today. Oh, I got that. Otherwise, it's very much, I'm just more attracted to the sound that I'm hearing. I guess the vibrational whatever feels good. So I like that song for that. But very good example, my son and I were driving in the car, and I was singing along to this song, and he just randomly turned to me and was like, "You know this is about a school shooting, right?" I was like, "What?" I had no idea. And when he said it, I was like, "Oh, well, yeah, I hear gun. Okay. Oh, okay, whatever." I had no clue. I had no idea. So on that same vein also, I don't understand like allegory or metaphor. And the irony here is I love myth. So fascinating. I love mythology, legends. I love anything that Joseph Campbell's ever spoken about, or Carl Jung, like all these deep explorations of the psyche and patterns in psyche. Like, I love it. I'm fascinated by it. It's so my world. And yet I actually like simultaneously have no concept of it until someone says, "Hey, this is an allegory and it stands for blah, 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 blah." So perfect example, in high school, between 8th and 9th grade, so just before 9th grade, that summer, we were supposed to read Animal Farm. And first day of class, Laverne High School, Laverne, Tennessee, class of 1993. But the first day of class, be fall 1989, Miss Bridget Troball was like, "Okay, so you read Animal Farm this summer. What's that all about?" And you have to understand that in my mind, when I started reading it, I was like, "God, why are we reading children's books? Like, what? This is so weird. I thought high school was supposed to be more in-depth." So first day of class, she's like, "So what was this book about?" And my response internally was, well, I was really, really, really blown away when people started responding with something, 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 Nazis. And I was like, oh shit, I read the wrong version. Because I just thought it was about all these animals and their dramas and adventures on the farm, and I totally had no clue that it was allegory. So another really good example, in 11th grade, we had to submit like in English, we had to submit songs. And we were going through them. I guess we were looking at them poetically, but I was like, oh, okay. So I picked I picked Wonderful Tonight by Eric Clapton. And that was like the one song that we didn't cover in the whole time. Like everybody submitted a song, and each day we go over, the lyrics of one or two of them. We would listen to the song. And Wonderful Tonight has zero depth. It's so black and white, and it's perfect for me, and it sounds pretty. So I did that. And guess what? That was the only song that we did not cover. As at one point she goes, just so you know, we're just going to be going over the lyrics to songs that have depth and meaning or something, whatever, something like that. And in that moment, I was like, oh, does my song have depth? I don't know. It just sounds good. Anyway, no concept. Yeah. Oh, and so much irony. I'm a philosophy major. Like my undergrad is in philosophy, which is crazy abstract. And yet foundational, like literally philosophy 101, I had a fantastic teacher who, we did this thing, we were reading Plato's Republic, I guess, and at some point I show up and it's movie day. And we're watching The Matrix because it directly connects to Plato's Republic or something like that. To this day, I graduated in 2016, started college late. To this day, I have no idea what in the world The Matrix has to do with Plato's Republic. I assume it's related to the cave or something like that, but it is just major mental blockage. I had no clue. And I bet, I don't know, I don't understand any kind of abstract representation, whether it's poetry, lyrics, art, and I've done a lot of work in the art world, but administrative, not actual, like art. So I see some abstract piece of art and I'm like, neat. And that's about it. But the artist or people who try to assign meaning where maybe there isn't any, or will be like, oh yes, this is indicative of, I don't know, Westerners' inability to be content. I don't know. And I'm like, what? It's literally paint splatter. And or a lump of clay. I don't know. I don't get it. I have no concept. I can't make this connection. And I'm telling you, this is all because I have aphantasia. It's the inability to see like images, to visualize. Yeah, I don't have that. And my mind is blown. Is this a thing for you? And have you figured out other ways that it affects you? I know it's impacted my learning. I really struggled. I mean, I did fine in school, but I had to work for it. It was hard work. In a large part, like even think about math. I struggle with math, which also there's a spatial awareness connection there. But I just couldn't. There were so many things I had no concept of. And yet, if you know me at all, you know I'm intelligent. I think very abstractly. We can have these crazy in-depth conversations that could literally just go on for days. And they're meaningful, but I don't have pictures with it. Like at all. So, yeah. Anyway, my mind is blown. If this is a thing for you, or if you've made these connections. Oh, and by the way, it's very possible. Like I've only done nominal research since I came across this last night. I couldn't even sleep last night. And my head's killing me today because of it. I was just so, I couldn't believe all the ways that I figured out this affected me. And now I wonder what other ways it affects me. And it's very possible, is what I gotta say originally, it's very possible that there's like 1,000 videos and studies on this, and I just didn't dig deep enough yet, but I'm so blown away by it that I can't even, I'm just sitting with the shock. But it's a pleasant shock. It's a fun shock. So if this is a thing for you, please tell me about it. I will be looking into some study. I'm fascinated by the neuroscience of this. It's got to be studied more. Like, how does it affect learning? And and yet I'm also extremely creative. I can be creative. It's just that I don't see it first. So, for example, my daughter's about to get married, and I'm doing the flower arranging, the bouquets. I'm doing all that. I've done it for many weddings in the past, just informally. I don't have an image in my head ahead of time of how to arrange this. I just bring it together and get it how I like it, and it's beautiful, and everybody loves it, and stuff like that all the time. I used to sew, but I never saw the end picture in my head or anything like that. I don't know. This is so weird, but also so cool. And I'm a neuroscience geek, so I'm like so intrigued by my own brain right now. Excuse me, this is amazing. Okay, I guess that's all. I gotta sit with this some more, but if this is a thing for you, please chime in, and we've got to get some studies going on this. This is incredible. Okay, bye.